G'day ladies and gents, and welcome to World of Warships with Mags, and today we're taking a look at World of Warships Halloween event. Now this event is a PvE event. It requires a lot of group play. It's actually rather hard to do unless you have a team that at least has some idea of what's going on. Your objective is to escort the Transylvania, an AI ship that sits in the middle of your formation, which you can see on screen at the moment in the middle of that green ring, and escort it through the map to the orange glowing portal that is in the distance. Now there are two potential paths that you can take in order to complete this event. You won't actually know which one you're going to get until the first catapult spawns. Now the catapult is spawned to the right hand side, so we are taking the right hand path on this particular playthrough. Now this is going to be a little bit of an info dump here because, well, for those of you who have already played this event, you'll know what I'm talking about. For those of you who haven't, this is actually a rather complex event. So, there are three ship classes available. You have a destroyer, which is called the Blade, a cruiser called the Igor, and the battleship, which is called the Jackal. And each of them is themed around a character. For example, Igor is obviously, Igor. The Jackal is based around Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's the theming it's got going for it. But more than that, each ship is themed for a particular role. Now, your enemies in this, you have three types. You have the catapults, which are fixed installations that are set on the shoreline that fire giant, high explosive fireballs that will light your ship on fire and cause immense amount of damage on hit. And they seem to be able to target you at 11 kilometers and fire on you accurately from about 10 and inwards. Now, after the catapults, we have the Zikaza battleships. Now, these are Mikazas with a really cool redesign. Actually, I would love to see that redesign unlockable and playable in game. And these are zombie battleships, effectively. Now, of course, they do have battleship main guns, and they will do damage, although they tend to not focus those main guns particularly well. So they hurt, but it's not a major issue unless you get multiples of them on you at once, at least not with their main guns. But as we all know, you can't get close to zombies. If they get close to zombies, they could grab you and bite you. So the really dangerous part of these things is if you get within about 3.8 kilometers of them, their secondaries engage. And their secondaries have somewhere in the vicinity of a 33% chance per shell fired of starting a fire on your ship. This is, of course, providing the shell penetrates. Now, this means that getting caught between two Zikasas, or even spending too much time just in the vicinity of one, can cause substantial damage to any ship in the game. So you need to keep them outside of that range as much as possible, which, unfortunately, isn't always an option. And last but not least, there is the Rasputin. The Rasputin is a massive battleship with, again, a fantastic design that I would love to see playable in-game. And it is, well, it's a final boss. It shows up right before the portal as you're about to complete the event, along with a number of Zikasa battleships as support, and it does huge amounts of damage and needs to be taken out in order to complete the event. So, how do you complete this event? Well, each of the ship classes, now you know what the enemies are, is sort of themed around a role. The destroyers are very simple. Torpedoes. They do huge amounts of damage with torpedoes, as they do in the normal game, so torp everything you possibly can. They're incredibly useful for this. Then you have the cruisers. Now the cruisers, on first glance, don't appear to do a lot of damage. At least not with AP, or even the damage that they can pull off with their HP, but they have a lot of guns with an incredibly high fire rate. These are the counter to the battleships, because why their direct damage is not particularly great, the HE shell on the cruisers also has a 33% chance of starting a fire, so it's quite easy for a dedicated cruiser firing HE to set 4 fires across each of the enemy ships and just incinerate everything. Which brings us finally to the Jackal, the ship that I am driving, the battleship of the event. Now, it actually has two primary roles. First things first is taking out the catapults. This is incredibly important, as one catapult is dangerous, but if you don't destroy it, as you progress through the map, more catapults will appear and they will start to focus fire. And once you get more than 3, they're capable of one-shotting destroyers and cruisers, so these need to be removed. As I said, they can hit everything within 10 kilometers. That's the first role of the Jackal. The second role of the Jackal is actually to tank the Zikazas that get too close. As I said, the Zikazas, if they happen to get within about 3.8 kilometers of you, can do immense amount of damage really quickly, which is something that a destroyer and a cruiser just cannot recover from. And the Transylvania, the ship that you were trying to escort, well, it can't either. It's got a lot of health, but it's going to take a lot of a beating the whole way through. And there is a special objective in this to try and get the Transylvania to the portal above 50% health. So, when the Zakazas get too close, or multiple Zakazas are in one tiny confined area, it's the battleship's job to go in, take the fires and take the damage, destroy as many of the ships as they possibly can, and then activate their fire prevention to turn the fires off, and then activate their repair ability to repair themselves and prepare themselves to go in and tank the next series of ships. So, clear as mud? Excellent, because we're not quite done yet. There is one other very important thing and often overlooked part of this event. Around the Transylvania, there is a big green circle in the water. Once a ship enters inside of that circle at the start of the match, Transylvania starts moving. If everybody leaves that circle, it stops, and there is another achievement to complete this particular event without actually having the Transylvania stop. It has to constantly keep moving, so somebody always has to be in that circle. But of course, that's fairly simple. Where's the complex part? Well, the more ships that enter the circle, the faster the Transylvania travels. So if you get 2 or 3 destroyers inside of that circle all at once, the destroyers will have no problem keeping up with the Transylvania. But the Transylvania will actually start sailing faster than the Jackals, so the Jackals are not able to tank for it or get ahead of the Transylvania to take out the catapults. Now that's not to say that you shouldn't have multiple ships like that inside of the Transylvania's circle. In fact, there are points in the map where you want that to happen, but you want the Jackals to already be ahead of the Transylvania, clearing a path before you try and get her to rush through. If the Jackals are behind the circle, behind the Transylvania, you run into problems. This event effectively requires a lot of teamwork. If you get a team that has a whole bunch of people in it that know exactly how this event works, this thing is a cakewalk to actually complete. I've completed it multiple times. Never survived it, but we'll come to that in a moment. But completed the event without too much of an issue multiple times. But it only takes 1 or 2 ships to be out of position or not know what they're doing, and they can ruin it for everybody. So, playing as the Jackal, and this is actually an appropriate time to start talking about this, I've never actually survived this event while playing the battleship. And this is because you tend to take huge amounts of damage in the battleship, so you're constantly under damage management. However, if you misclick an ability, like for example, seeing your health dropping because you've got 4 fires on your ship, so activating your repair ability to turn the fires off, but still being within 3.8 kilometers of a Zakaza, and immediately get set on fire again, you can take huge amounts of extra damage and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's a situation that you will find yourself in often while driving the Jackal, because that's what it's designed to do. Thankfully, this Zakaza just spawned in and it set me on fire, as you can see, just a matter of seconds. I've got 3 fighters burning on the ship already. I do have my repair ability available, so I'm trying to sail out of its secondary range at this point in time. As soon as its secondary stops firing, I'm going to pop the repair, which we've done. Fires go off. Now, I'm still inside of secondary range at the moment, however, while the ability is cycling, it will automatically continually put out those fires. Saved as much health as I could, but I'm now in the red. I can now sit back and shell the hell out of this Zakaza, which is exactly what I'm going to do. We cannot afford to leave him at the rear of the position, because he will come up from behind and set everybody on fire. But even with that repair activated, I'm still incredibly low on health, and the Rasputin is about to spawn in. Now, the Rasputin seems to have a kill order. I'm not entirely sure if it's focusing on ships with low health first, or if it's focusing on particular ship types. But because I tend to take damage, because I do tank and I do absorb damage during my pass, and I like to lead from the front, it's just the way I like to play, the Rasputin seems to go out of its way to focus its guns on me very early on in the battle. This one here I went particularly well. I managed to do a significant amount of damage and keep its main guns tied up for a long period of time, allowing Rasputin to be taken out fairly easily. But there are also times when you get this far through the battle and you just get one shot the second he turns up. In the end, I suppose it doesn't really matter all that much. The Jackal's job isn't so much to win the battle as it is to get the team to this position so that they can win the battle, preferably with as much health and as alive as absolutely possible. From here, there's no more catapults to take out. There are a lot of Zakazas floating around, but if you're doing your job right, you should be able to tank at least a couple of those and kill a couple of those before Rasputin is in a position to start destroying your fleet. And if you play well, you can keep even Rasputin occupied for long enough for your team to start unloading torpedoes and fires right across his decks. So there are still things for you to do, but really your primary job in this battle ends once Rasputin arrives and everybody is in the final battle position. So as you can see, a complex, well-designed and well-thought-out event, and it's actually a lot of fun to do. Frustrating when you get a team that doesn't know what they're doing, amazingly fun when you get a team who knows exactly what they're doing, and it looks fantastic. The Van Helsing map, which is what we are playing on, looks completely the part. The ship designs for the Jackal, the Blade, and the Igor look amazing. The Zikaza and the Rasputin, I want those unlockable. I want to sail around in a ship that's got a giant glowing green skull on the front of it. It just looks great. Very Saturday morning cartoon Halloween. I love this aesthetic. It just looks fantastic. So, why would you do this event? What are the rewards? Well, first, there are the objective awards. The primary objective being escort the Transylvania to the objective, with the sub-objectives: end the match with the Transylvania above 50% health, destroy 16 or more Zikazas, destroy all catapults, end the match without the Transylvania stopping, and destroy the Rasputin. Every time you complete one of these objectives, you get 100 free XP. So there's 600 free XP available to unlock per battle. And boom, the Rasputin finally takes me down, but not before I manage to keep him occupied for long enough for the team to effectively cripple him. And at this point, they're going to make short work of him and then just clean up the Zikazas in order to win. So anyways, after the primary mission objectives, then there is your personal objectives. So, deal 10,000 damage in a match, you get 30,000 credits and a Halloween camouflage, which is a series of bonuses as well as 100% XP per battle. The camouflage only lasts for one battle, however. Next is deal 100,000 damage per match, and you get 100,000 credits and that same camouflage. Destroy 2 or more Zikazas, and you get 70,000 credits plus one of those camouflages. And it is possible to get all three, so you will get the 10,000 reward, the 100,000 reward, and if you destroy 2 Zikazas, you also can get the Zikaza reward all at the same time. So potentially, you're looking at 200,000 credits and 3 Halloween skins. And of course, as with most events of this type, completion of the event for the first time will get you an achievement. But more importantly than any of the rewards, the event is actually fun, and it is just fantastic to look at. I mean, this is the Igor that we see in front of us. This is the cruiser. And as you can see, it's actually a paddle boat with these giant Tesla electric plugs mounted in the top of it that seem to be powering it in some way with glowing, burning eyes in the front of the ship. The fire just behind the bridge, however, that's not supposed to be there. He's on fire at the moment, so yeah. Anyways, at this point, we lost a couple of ships in that final battle, but the Rasputin has been taken down, and all there is really to do in order to complete the event at this time is burn the last of the Zikazas into the ground and wait till the Transylvania finally makes the objective. Of course, at this point, we could just ignore those ships because we've already hit the 16 ship kills that is required. Once Transylvania hits the exit, the match automatically ends. So, at the moment, it's just these guys looking for bonus points, and, well, they've got nothing better to do. So, we'll flip the camera over to the Transylvania, and this is the ship that you were escorting the whole way through. It's a hybrid sail and steam paddle ship. And that's it. It's all over. We win. So, only 66,952 damage. This is nowhere near the largest amount that I have actually achieved. I've gotten well over 150,000 damage in this event before. However, that was an event that we lost. It seems the more damage I wind up doing, the less likely it is that my team is actually performing. So I actually like seeing lower damage where it's possible here, because the amount of damage that I do actually doesn't affect my end reward, providing I've completed the mission objectives, and I would rather have a team that's having a good crack as well. Increases your chance of actually winning. Being as this is an event that, well, really only rewards the team player. It doesn't really do much for the solo player. In fact, the solo player is probably going to die very, very quickly. Anyways, ladies and gents, this has been the World of Warships Easter event. As I said, I really enjoyed this one, and I hope you enjoyed the video too. Please leave a comment in the comments section down below, and remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Good luck and fair seas, and I will catch you out in the blue.